Hello everyone. In today's video, we're going to look at a bunch of the different aspects of Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos, and I'm going to give you guys some hints and tips about all of them. We're going to start today's video by talking about the animals in Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos. In previous videos, I talked about how to get the animals, and now today I'm going to give you guys a lot more tips and hints about how to do it as fast as possible. So of course, when you see the animal, it's going to have an exclamation point over it, and then you're going to want to slow down, start creeping over to it, and pet it. After that, you're going to want to give it an item. Technically, every animal has their favorites, but honestly, you can just give them any fruit and they're probably still going to like it. If you do this, then you should be able to get their heart level up pretty quickly. Once it gets to about 80%, they're going to come onto your farm. Now, in my previous video, I talked about how you don't want to get too many animals on your farm because it's really hard to get animal feed, but actually, it's not that big of a problem because if you find you have too many animals, you can just let that animal back into the wild. Now, I didn't want to do this for the longest time because I didn't want to abandon my animal, but there's actually no penalty to doing this, and the animal that you put back in the wild, it's actually going to keep its nickname and it's going to keep its affection level with you. So don't feel bad about seeing a new pet, taming it, bringing it onto your farm, and letting one of your other pets go. If you find that you want that original pet back, you can just go back into the wild and bring them back. Another thing about animals that you might not know is that there's actually two different sets. The first set, you're going to be able to find them between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. These are the animals that probably almost everyone has seen. However, if you wait until 7 p.m., it's actually going to switch and there'll be a different set of animals that comes out. Most of the rarest animals, they're only going to come out at 7. And since we're talking about animals, if you got the Animal Avalanche pack, then there's also going to be 10 extra wild animals that you can find in the wild. And actually, these animals, they're not just reskins, they also have some special abilities. If you get the Magical Unicorn, which again only comes out after 7 p.m., if you get this one, it's going to run faster than the horse, and it's going to be able to run in any type of weather. If you just have the normal horse, you might have found that if it's a snowstorm or a sandstorm that, he just walks very slowly, so you can't really use your mount in those areas. But if you have the unicorn, it's going to be able to run quickly anywhere. The last thing I want to say about animals is my tips and tricks on how to feed your animals. In the beginning, you're probably going to have to be cutting down a lot of weeds, so that way you can turn 20 weeds into one animal feed. You can also choose to buy animal feed for 50 gold, which could be an option if you're making lots of money, which making money, we're going to talk about that more in a little bit. But before I get into that, I want to talk about grass. Now, some people think that with grass you never have to water it, and that's kind of half true. If you are in spring, summer, or fall, you can mostly just put your grass down and then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to water it, you don't have to give it fertilizer, you can just put the grass down and you're good to go. However, if it's winter or you're in one of the cold areas, then I would at least watch your grass because there's a chance that it's going to turn brown. So if you look right here, it's the middle of winter and I'd planted my grass and you see all of this grass, it's turned brown. Now, this is a very bad sign. It means that the grass is not getting enough nutrients. So what you're going to have to do is make sure that you water all of these. And if you want to be extra careful, then you should also give it some fertilizer. You can see here, I watered all of these crops and then bam, the next day I was still able to get my grass. Then the second time I watered all of them except for one, and bam, the one that I didn't water, it actually wilted away. And I would still recommend to always check on your crops every day because this also applies to crops. Actually, with crops, you can usually get away without watering them for 1 or 2 days if they are in a climate that is suited to them. However, if you try to plant something that's not in season or it's the wrong climate, then yeah, that plant is going to struggle. You can still harvest it if you water it every day and you give it some fertilizer when it tries to turn brown, but yeah, it's definitely a risk that you're going to have to take. Now, let's talk a little bit about making money, because this is going to be something that's important in the early game, and it's going to stay important throughout the whole game, because a lot of things in this game, they cost a lot of money. So you're definitely going to want some ways to make a lot of money. I know a lot of people have commented saying that one of their favorite ways to make money in the early game is to chop down trees, get that lumber, and then turn it into wood, and then sell the wood. This does give you a decent amount of money for the early game, but once you get later in the game, you're going to have to get some other ways to make more more money faster. One way is going to be through fishing, which we'll talk more about later. But yeah, basically, if you want to make a lot of money, just start fishing, and some of the fish they're going to sell for a lot of money. However, me personally, I'm a little bit too lazy to fish every day, so what I like to do is forage. One of my favorite things in these games is to forage, find all the different things that you can sell for a lot of money, and luckily in this game, foraging is actually very rewarding. There are 3 types of truffles that sell for a lot of money. Of course, one of them is just a regular truffle, and you can find this fairly early on. You can get it as soon as you go to the 3rd town. You can find it on the beach right here. Later in the game, though, you're actually going to want to get white truffles and miracle truffles, because these 2 things, they sell for more money. There are a few miracle truffles in the world, but some of them are not as easy to get to as others. There are 2 that are very easy to find, so I recommend getting these 2. The first one is here. It's in the desert, so you're not going to be able to access this until you've almost completed the main storyline. But once you get to this part of the desert, you can just go there, get this miracle truffle, and sell it for 5,500 gold. So yeah, you get a lot of money for doing next to nothing. There are also a couple that are in the volcano level, but honestly, it's really difficult to find them in this area. Because yeah, if you try to use the map, like there's different levels, and so the miracle truffle, it might not be on the level that you think it is. So yeah, I would recommend just getting the 2 that are easy to find, and it's an easy 11,000 gold. However, you can't do this every day. I believe it spawns every other day. It could be every 3rd day. Personally, this is the way that I like to make money, but yeah, you guys can also leave a comment saying what is your favorite moneymaker in this game. Next, we're going to talk about something that's also very important, and that is raising the cultural level of your town. Now, when you start the game out, you're going to have 0 stars, and then quickly as you complete quests for the villagers and as you sell things in your box, you're going to slowly raise the star level. However, you're probably quickly going to find out that once you get to 3 stars, it stops. And this is going to happen no matter which town you go to. It's always going to keep raising until you get to 3 stars. Then it's going to stop. And when you get to this blocker, yeah, I would stop doing quests for the villagers, and I would stop selling things in that area, because it's not going to hold over. The experience that you earn during this period is going to be wasted. It's not going to hold up and then, magically give you a bunch after you raise the level. No, you're going to have to go back and keep raising that slowly. So how are you going to get it past 3 stars? Well, first you have to complete the quests that bring back the different festivals. There should be 2 different quests where you have to complete different things, and then there's going to be a festival that returns. I know one of the early game ones is a little bit difficult because you have to get 10 different flowers of 3 different types, and it can take you a long time, but I do recommend trying to do that as soon as you possibly can, because you're not going to be able to get higher than 3 stars unless you do that. Now, for each town, there's going to be 2 different festivals, and then there's going to be a 3rd quest that you also have to complete. The last quest that you're going to have to complete is there's going to be one where somebody tells you they want to go on a journey. Now, this one, it should come up after you've completed the other 2 quests about returning the festivals. In the first town is going to be Nemo. He's going to be the one that wants to leave and find new recipes. So make sure that you give him what he needs, and then after you do that quest, you should be able to raise your star level past 3. Now, if you're trying to raise your star level quickly, I recommend doing quests for the villagers. It seems to give you a lot more experience than shipping. Some other things that happen when you raise your town level are the shops are going to sell more things. This is also how you unlock the summer outfit. If you played through the main storyline, you probably already have the winter outfit unlocked, but if you want to get the summer outfit, then you're going to have to raise the star level of that town past 3. Next, I want to talk a little bit about fishing. I've tried to explain it in a past video, but I still got comments about saying that people didn't understand it, and I also think that maybe some people are doing it incorrectly, so I wanted to briefly talk about fishing in this video. First, you're going to throw the line out, and then you're going to see the different shadows of the different fish. Then they're slowly going to bite on it. As soon as you see the exclamation point above your character, you're going to push the A button. Now, what you're going to want to do in this period is you're going to hold the A button as long as the fish is still coming towards you. However, if the fish tries to go in any other direction, get your finger off of the A button, because if you leave your finger on the A button, then the bar at the bottom is going to go down very quickly and you might lose this fish. What you're going to want to do when the fish starts to pull away is move the joystick in the opposite direction that the fish is going. So if the fish is going to the left, then you're going to move the joystick to the right. And if it's going up, then you're going to want to move the joystick down. And remember, while you're doing this, take your finger off of the A button. Then, once the fish has calmed down, now you're going to go back to holding on to the A button. This is the way to fish. If you follow this method, it should be very easy to catch fish. This last thing that I want to talk about is a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to see any spoilers, I would stop watching the video right now. If you've completed the main storyline, then you'll know that the last quest was related to the Harvest Moon, and after you've completed the game, the Harvest Moon is still going to be helping you out. Now, you might be wondering what the Harvest Moon event does. Well, here are some of the things that it does. First of all of the animals are going to be on the map. In the beginning of today's video, we talked about animals and how there's different animals that come out during the day and during the night, but during the Harvest Moon, all of the animals are going to be out. And all of these animals, they're not going to be scared of you. So normally you would have to get close to it and then slowly creep up to it, but during the Harvest Moon, none of the animals are going to be scared of you. You can run right up to them and pet them and give them items. Another thing that you're probably going to see is a bunch of harvest wisps everywhere. And during the Harvest Festival, they actually come in groups of 4. So if you want to get a lot of seeds, then you should definitely wait until the Harvest Festival, and then you can get 4 times the amount that you normally would. Thank you for watching another video. If you have any tips that you'd like to share with the rest of us, please leave them in the comments down below. If you still have any questions, again, you can leave them in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time.